My name's Ava. I'm a Scorpio.
No. What's your last name?
Oh, Ava Combs.
What's your other last name?
Ava Baroni.
Ava Baroni Combs? Yes, it's breaking news. Diddy adopted a white child. I want you to tell them the story about how I adopted you.
Terrence Howard just dropped a bombshell. It's there, and now it's spiraling out of control. Word is, he lost some serious receipts that allegedly prove he was tracking his adopted daughter Ava. And now folks are saying she's caught up in Diddy's growing legal mess. At first, everyone thought Terrence had closed the chapter on Diddy after claiming the music mogul once tried to make a move on him.
Hey, did you ever have the opportunity where you got invited and he said no to it?
Hell yeah.
What was the consequences when you said no?
Puffy invited me for weeks, asking me to come and teach him how to, wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. Go there and he's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music and he's sitting there just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh, okay. Now I get it. So now no more communication. Now you know to be hands off with somebody. A number of producers come in and make the approach, and you threaten to punch them in the mouth or threaten to knock their head off for talking to you or looking at you like you're a woman. When you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back.
But now, it's starting to look like Terrence's podcast appearance barely scratched the surface. This man might know way more than he let on. And here's the kicker. The feds just hit Diddy with an updated indictment. 2 brand new charges were added, and they even switched up some details from the original list. And get this. The streets are buzzing that Ava is one of the new alleged victims. Yeah, it's getting wild fast. On top of that, rumor has it she's lined up to testify against Diddy in court. If that's true, things are about to explode, and Terrence could be the surprise key to bringing Diddy down. Now, let's talk about that podcast. Just when we thought the tea couldn't get any hotter, Terrence let it rip. He didn't just say Diddy came on to him. He said the man tried to pull him into a full-on intimate situation. But wait, it gets messier. In that same conversation, Terrence claimed he ain't the only black man Diddy's allegedly targeted.
And if you're going to speak against me, then use the same courage that it took for me to say those truths. Man to man, eye to eye, integrity and in truth. I've spent a lifetime earning the right to speak with the conviction about these truths that I speak. So if you want to tear that down, have the decency to come and say it directly to my face. And say it like a man. The conclusions. But we're going to do this respectfully, otherwise we'll end in a duel. And I mean a duel, real life duel, where only one person walks away.
According to him, there's a twisted pattern going on. He says Diddy hosts these wild freak-off parties, but they're not just crazy VIP bashes. Terrence described them as setups, spots where Diddy allegedly tries to break these men down, strip them of their dignity, and play mind games. This story's not just messy, it's explosive. Terrence didn't drop names, but he made one thing loud and clear. This ain't no isolated situation. Without pointing fingers, he hinted that other men in the game have faced the same twisted treatment, but chose to stay quiet. Why? Fear? Shame? Maybe both. According to him, Diddy allegedly targets black men at their most vulnerable moments. And this ain't no random behavior. Terrence says it's part of a calculated pattern. And that's the scariest part. Naturally, the internet lost its mind after those claims. But that was just the tip of the iceberg.
It's craziness, man. And you know what's so crazy is, bruh, that all these stories has been around the industry for a long time. All these industry people know that Diddy been acting like this and doing this and try to engaged. Yo, it's a lot of stories that goes around in this industry about not just him, other people. Jimmy Iovine. Ain't nobody talking about Jimmy Iovine. He got charges and everything on him, but he got those publicists that's keeping it out off of CNN. It's keeping it off the major news reports. Nobody's talking about that. This is something that goes on, man, that they're gonna push up under the rug, and a few years later, Bad Boy 5, 6, 7, 8 will be out.
Before long, folks started whispering that Terrence was still holding back the real dirt. The streets started buzzing with rumors that he had something even darker on Diddy. Something so heavy, it would straight up break the internet if it ever came out. And Terrence? He didn't deny it. In fact, he kind of teased it. He dropped a video on Twitter, looking real tense. In it, he hinted that some powerful people were coming after him, trying to silence him. He even threatened to expose everything he knows. To make sure we knew what he was talking about, he threw in the #man card, the same phrase he used during his podcast when talking about Diddy's alleged freak-off parties. Now here's where it gets even more twisted. Word on the street is that this next bombshell Terrence is sitting on, it's allegedly about Diddy's adopted daughter, Ava Baroni, and what really went down with her. Let's rewind to 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic, when Diddy made a move that had people scratching their heads. Out of nowhere, he went live on Instagram and introduced a young white girl named Ava Baroni Combs as his adopted daughter.
But you still have beautiful parents but you're my child also. Please tell the story.
So, I was on the streets, and then Papa Combs decided that he would like to be a caring man. So then he saw me and decided to pick me up and to come inside and play with his kids.
Hey, that's like a little bit like borderline suspect. I don't want nobody, we want to get it clear. I adopted you like Madonna adopted kids and everybody else adopted kids, Charlize Theron, everybody that's ever adopted Sandra Bullock. I adopted you because I felt that you could, enjoy also having a black parent to take care of you and help you out. So, just clarify it because it's crazy out here online. So you played with the kids, and I got permission from your mother, and say all of that. It's crazy out here.
Well, I met Jesse and Delilah when I was 6 months old.
6 months.
And then we basically are sisters, all four of us. So, and then I always come over.
Yes. And it's Ava Baroni Combs. Let's go.
Just like that, Ava was now part of the Combs family. No build-up, no backstory, just boom. He was showing her off to his followers like it was the most normal thing ever. The whole thing felt super random. So random that folks either ignored it or forgot about it right after. And for real, Ava barely got mentioned again. Like, at all. It was like she vanished just as quickly as she appeared. But now that Diddy's name is all over the news for some serious legal trouble, people are looking back at everything with fresh eyes. And what they're seeing is straight up suspicious. Back in the day, it looked like Diddy was doing something good, adopting a kid during such a chaotic time when the world was in crisis. It seemed like a good deed, something to respect. People gave him props for stepping up, thinking he was doing something selfless, but now, that same video hits way different. What once looked sweet now got folks feeling uneasy, like there's way more to the story than we were told. And guess what? That ain't even the only red flag waving. Diddy went as far as to compare his adoption of Ava to Madonna's. Yeah, he really said that. And if you know anything about Madonna's situation, that's a bold comparison. Her adoptions have been surrounded by drama, and not the good kind. Multiple sources have said not all her adoptions followed the right legal steps. So for Diddy to link himself to that, yeah, that raised even more questions. A few years back, the Ethiopian World Federation straight up accused Madonna of some serious stuff, claiming she was involved in child exploitation. They said she tricked parents into giving up their kids with fake promises of U.S. education, only to turn around and adopt them permanently. That scandal shook people. So the fact that Diddy chose to compare his adoption of Ava to Madonna's, that move raised a whole lot of eyebrows. That comparison alone was wild. But now, fans are picking apart that video Diddy posted of Ava, and things are getting weird. One thing people can't stop talking about is the energy in the room. His sons were front and center, showing out for the camera. But if Ava wanted to connect with Diddy's daughters, why weren't they featured too? Why was it just the boys in the spotlight? And then comes the part that really had viewers uneasy. Ava herself. People noticed she looked off. Her body language was tense, her smile felt forced, and her whole vibe screamed uncomfortable. This wasn't just some shy moment. Fans felt something was wrong, like the energy in the room wasn't right. And once folks started digging, the theories took off. And when you factor in the baggage surrounding Diddy's sons, that room might have been straight up toxic. Justin's name came up in that lawsuit with Lil Rod, and Christian got his own legal drama going on. So if there was already heat on them, imagine how it felt for Ava, stuck in that space, on camera, with everyone watching. The whole setup felt unsettling, even creepy to some fans. But the real red flag, after that video, Ava basically disappeared. Aside from a couple of quick moments where she was seen near Diddy's twin daughters, Jessie and Delilah, she was gone. No photos, no updates, no Papa Combs, bonding moments, just silence. And for someone he introduced as family, someone calling him Papa, that sudden vanishing act? With all these disturbing allegations about trafficking and mistreatment of women flooding the headlines, fans can't help but ask, what really happened to Ava?
You understand? It's going to come to the forefront. Now, what they're looking for, because it was going on the premises of, they're looking for pictures of girls that may appear to be underage in a context. Like they in a act. That's what they're looking for. So now they're going to go through all those devices. If somebody got any kind of weird that they got little kids or little girls or something like that in any kind of pictures or any kind of photos that they took out of there.
Her sudden disappearance has gone from a quiet mystery to a full-blown internet obsession. What once looked like a sweet adoption story is now feeling like a real-life thriller. And the deeper people dig, the darker it gets. Now, here's where things take a wild turn. Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, stepped up and spilled everything. And what he had to say, it was chilling. According to Gene, Diddy didn't just neglect Ava, he allegedly used her. Gene claimed the whole adoption was nothing but a carefully planned publicity stunt, a move to gain sympathy and polish his image when the world was locked down during the pandemic. He said once Diddy got the media love he wanted, Ava was pushed to the side like she was never even family. According to Gene, Diddy found a little girl in a rough spot, homeless, vulnerable, and brought her into the spotlight just to play the role of a generous father. He made it look like he was giving her a new life, but behind closed doors, Gene says it was all smoke and mirrors. Now, Gene didn't directly accuse Diddy of hurting Ava, but he didn't sugarcoat anything either. He straight up hinted that something shady went down and even suggested that people in the industry already know the real story. He made it sound like Diddy's dark side ain't a secret. It's just been conveniently ignored. And let's be real, history backs him up. We've seen this play out before. R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, powerful men who were protected for years while victims suffered in silence. And in Cassie's lawsuit, she laid it out crystal clear. Diddy was constantly surrounded by enablers. People who didn't just ignore his behavior, they helped cover it up. When Gene Deal started dropping those heavy bombshells, it had everybody thinking, what's really been going on behind the scenes? And then things got real dark. Gene hinted that Diddy might be tied to some extremely questionable footage involving Ava. Videos that, according to him, were more than just inappropriate. They might have crossed into criminal territory. And here's where it gets even scarier. Gene claimed that federal investigators were actively looking for these alleged tapes. Why? Because they believed they actually exist. That kind of allegation ain't small, it's serious. If true, it could be the piece that takes everything down. Now guess who else might have known about this long before the world caught on? 50 Cent. Yup, turns out he's allegedly been sitting on some major tea about Diddy for years. But most people didn't take him seriously. They thought 50 was just being petty or still holding a grudge because Diddy never signed him back in the early days when he was hustling to break into the industry. And to be real, that might be a part of it. We all know 50 holds grudges like championship belts. He's been locked in feuds for decades, but this time, it's looking like he might have had a point, a dangerous one. Let's not forget, 50's also been beefing heavy with Diddy's right-hand man, DJ Z. That rivalry's been going for years too. But now, 50's throwing out hints that he knows things even the feds are trying to keep quiet. Remember that cryptic line? This is why they put that tape out. They know they can't charge him with what we saw, but they know we can't unsee what we saw. Chills, right? According to an insider, 50 allegedly got his hands on some hard proof connecting Diddy to Ava, and he's not keeping it to himself. Word is, this is all going to be laid out in 50's upcoming documentary, GLG, Greenlight Gang, baby. 50 Cent was back at it again, firing off shots and talking slick. He said, "Rapper, I thought Diddy was a billionaire music mogul. If he's smart, he better file for bankruptcy." That wasn't just shade, that was a warning. And anyone who really knows how money works understood what 50 was hinting at. He wasn't just clowning, he was prepping for receipts, and he told everyone he was the best one to produce this mess. Now, all that was said last year, and with so much chaos swirling around Diddy already, most folks forgot about Ava. She faded into the background. But that all flipped when Terrence Howard started dropping cryptic hints, and suddenly, the spotlight turned back on her. Then boom, the feds hit Diddy with an updated indictment. And what they laid out, it was heavy. The new court docs said that during the timeline of this case, Sean Combs was allegedly involved in a long-term pattern of disturbing behavior, targeting not just women, but others too. It included verbal, emotional, and physical abuse. And what they described sounded orchestrated and calculated. According to the indictment, Diddy didn't act alone. He allegedly manipulated women to participate in disturbing acts, sometimes with him, sometimes involving other people, including employees. They even claimed he had folks flying women out to meet him and used every tool in his bag to control them. Money, threats, even promises tied to their careers. If they didn't play along, he allegedly pulled financial support, or worse, used intimidation, and it didn't stop there. The feds said Combs and his inner circle used his fame and power to trap women in his orbit. They'd approach under the guise of love or opportunity, and then flip the script using coercion, force, and fear to keep them in line, all while hiding behind the glamour of his business empire. So now with Ava's name creeping back into the story and these explosive new charges on the table, people are starting to connect the dots. And what's forming looks a lot like a full-blown criminal empire. The indictment got real specific, and what it revealed was next-level disturbing. It named 3 women, referred to only by numbers, who were allegedly pulled into Diddy's twisted setup. They were reportedly pushed into commercial activities in exchange for money, career chances, paid rent, and even housing. But that wasn't all. Some of these so-called acts involved male workers too. And what did Diddy allegedly call these setups? Freak-offs. Yeah, that's the word he used. According to the feds, these weren't just wild parties. They were full-on productions. Elaborate, organized, and directed by Diddy himself like some sick performance. And worse, a lot of them were recorded electronically. The feds say Diddy didn't act alone. With help from his team, the so-called Combs Enterprise, he allegedly arranged transportation for these workers across state lines and even internationally. These weren't local house parties. This was global. And here's where it gets darker. Diddy was accused of forcing women to sleep with other men at these freak-offs, and not for fun or by choice, for money. But this wasn't something they agreed to up front. Let's be real clear. The victims did not give full consent according to federal investigators. Diddy allegedly coerced one of the women into going through with it, then forced her to accept payment after the fact. Why? So he could flip the script, make it look like she chose to do it, just a regular exchange of services. That kind of manipulation is cold-blooded. It blurs the line between consent and control. And sadly, it works. People online start judging the victims, calling them names, acting like they signed up for this life, when they might have been trapped in something they never agreed to in the first place. According to the feds, this wasn't just about shady parties or wild rumors. The indictment spelled it out. Diddy allegedly recruited, enticed, harbored, transported, and maintained individuals to engage in illegal acts, and did so knowingly, using force, fraud, and coercion. They said he didn't just participate. He aided, abetted, and caused these situations to go down. And it didn't stop in the past. The docs say that from 2021 all the way up through 2024, Diddy was still at it, recruiting people with the knowledge that threats, force, or manipulation would be used to make them comply. The language is direct. It accuses him of knowingly pushing individuals into commercial acts under pressure and ignoring the fact that they were doing it under duress. Now here's the part that's got folks really buzzing. This pattern sounds exactly like what one of the new anonymous victims is describing. And word on the street? Some insiders believe that Ava could be one of the individuals recently added to the federal list. With everything that's come out about her sudden disappearance, weird public rollout, and all these allegations, it's starting to make too much sense. It's all looking very dark and very real. The truth is, this story has gone way beyond music industry drama. This is now about alleged abuse, manipulation, and long-term cover-ups. And the deeper the feds dig, the more it looks like this entire empire might have been built on something far more sinister than we ever imagined. But here's the thing. The trial might have been pushed back, but it's coming. And when it does, we might be in for even bigger shocks than we've seen so far. This story is far from over. So if you're just as locked into this wild saga as we are, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Drop your thoughts below. What do you think is going to come out during this trial? Let's talk about it. We'll be watching this case closely, and you know we'll be back with more. See you on the next one!